repair your property to help protect it from potential damage. You can also sign up for free county emergency and weather alerts. For more information, visit hcflgov.net.
Here in Hillsborough County, when storms start to blow and danger strikes, we come together to face any challenge as a community, helping, supporting, and keeping each other safe. And when trouble hits our county, HCFL Alert is your #1 source for information. For storm preparations, evacuations, safety notices, and other vital messages, HCFL Alert is with you before, during, and after the storm. Signing up online is easy, and the information can be life-saving. To sign up, visit hcflgov.net/HCFL Alert so we know how and when to notify you about local emergencies. Hillsborough County residents know the safest way through bad weather is together. HCFL Alert will be there for you and your family and be your source of vital information in your time of need. Sign up today.
Calm waters are a part of Florida's allure, but that can change quickly with the approach of tropical weather. Living in coastal areas makes residents susceptible to storm surge. Structures in Evacuation Zone A are at risk when storms threaten to push enough water inland to prompt an evacuation. Zone B is 11 to 17 feet above sea level, but homes here can lie up to 4 miles inland from Tampa Bay. A storm like Hurricane Katrina can push water to the top of Zone C in our area. All residents in RVs or mobile homes should evacuate regardless of zone if any storm-related evacuation is called. Have your hurricane kit ready and plan to seek shelter outside of evacuation zones during an emergency. Remember, evacuate tens of miles, not hundreds. Visit hcflgov.net/stay safe.
It's very important to prepare before a storm gets here. That's not the time to start making a plan. Right now is the time to know what your risk is, what your plans are for your family, how to stay informed, and how to get involved and volunteer so that you can help your community before the storm gets here. Take preparedness seriously, as in these past couple years, we never know how a disaster will evolve. If you wait till the last minute, that's when everybody is in there wanting to get those last little bit of supplies. Now's the time to start because we are having supply chain issues. Take your time and making sure that you have all the exact items that you need to put in your emergency kit that should be able to support you for up to at least 7 days. It's important to know your evacuation zone. If we get into a situation where a decision has to be made that you're in danger from the surge coming in that's created by a storm event, that you know when your zone is called that it's time for you to go. Preparedness, preparedness, preparedness. You never know what the hazard is going to be, what the event is going to be, but if you take those basic steps that we talked about, it can apply to any hazard that impacts Hillsborough County, and your family will stay safe.
Rainy season is right around the corner, and we want to make sure every Hillsborough County resident is storm ready. It's never too early or too late to prepare for a major weather event, But it is important to have a disaster plan and stay informed. Here are a few tips you should keep in mind when preparing. Have a plan that includes all of your likely needs, from acquiring sandbags to deciding where you'll go during an evacuation and how you'll get there. Know your evacuation zone. Pack an evacuation kit that should include things like water, food, any necessary medications, personal hygiene items, important documents, a battery-powered radio and flashlight, a first aid kit, and cash. It's also important to prepare your pets in case you need to evacuate to a shelter, and definitely prepare your property to help protect it from potential damage. You can also sign up for free county emergency and weather alerts. For more information, visit hcflgov.net.
Here in Hillsborough County, when storms start to blow and danger strikes, we come together to face any challenge as a community, helping, supporting, and keeping each other safe. And when trouble hits our county, HCFL Alert is your #1 source for information. For storm preparations, evacuations, safety notices, and other vital messages, HCFL Alert is with you before, during, and after the storm. Signing up online is easy, and the information can be life-saving. To sign up, visit hcflgov.net/HCFL Alert so we know how and when to notify you about local emergencies. Hillsborough County residents know the safest way through bad weather is together. HCFL Alert will be there for you and your family and be your source of vital information in your time of need. Sign up today.
Calm waters are a part of Florida's allure, but that can change quickly with the approach of tropical weather. Living in coastal areas makes residents susceptible to storm surge. Structures in Evacuation Zone A are at risk when storms threaten to push enough water inland to prompt an evacuation. Zone B is 11 to 17 feet above sea level, but homes here can lie up to 4 miles inland from Tampa Bay. A storm like Hurricane Katrina can push water to the top of Zone C in our area. All residents in RVs or mobile homes should evacuate regardless of zone if any storm-related evacuation is called. Have your hurricane kit ready and plan to seek shelter outside of evacuation zones during an emergency. Remember, evacuate tens of miles.
Good morning. I'm Tim Dudley, and I am the Director of Hillsborough County Office of Emergency Management. I'll be providing a brief update on Hurricane Ian. I'm joined this morning by County Administrator Bonnie Wise, and I'd like to also welcome Sheriff Chronister, Sherry Jacobs from TICO, Adelie LeGrand from Hart, and Chief Dennis Jones, Hillsborough County Fire Rescue Chief. We are ramping up operations here at the ELC in response to a major Hurricane Ian. As it clears Cuba and begin its track towards the west coast of Florida, I want everyone to know that our team is ready, they're locked in, and they're focused. They know the stakes are high and that the residents are very concerned. Our job is to protect you before, during, and after the storm. Yes, we will experience impacts, more than likely significant from Hurricane Ian, and we are ready to face them and respond accordingly very quickly. The hurricane is a Category 3 now and expected to strengthen on its approach. There is still uncertainty on the track, and it could shift again, but we are increasingly facing a great possibility of being directly impacted. Now, the County Administrator, Bonnie Wise, has a major announcement.
Thank you, and good morning, everybody. I'm Bonnie Wise, the County Administrator, and I want to thank all of you in the news for helping our residents be informed about this very serious situation that we're facing in Hillsborough County. Yesterday, we issued a mandatory evacuation order for Zone A and recommended a voluntary evacuation for Zone B. Due to the growing intensity and size of the major Hurricane Ian and the increasing likelihood that Hillsborough County will be significantly impacted, we are amending the voluntary evacuation for Zone B to mandatory evacuation. Just to be clear, the voluntary evacuation for Zone B is being upgraded to a mandatory evacuation. This new evacuation will begin at noon today. It affects about 90,000 additional residents. As of now, all residents in Zone A, Zone B, those in mobile or manufactured homes, and those in low-lying areas prone to flooding must be evacuated by 9 p.m. tonight. That's worth repeating, 9 p.m. tonight. Everybody who is evacuating needs to be where they are going. This affects about 390,000 residents in total. Hillsborough Area Regional Transit Authority, HART, will operate in the zones with mandatory evacuations until 9 p.m. The service will be fare-free. I cannot emphasize enough the importance of heeding our evacuation orders. We are here to protect you and your family, and it is in your best interest to evacuate if you live in these specific areas. And remember, you don't need to go to a shelter. Ask a relative, a friend, a coworker who lives inland if you could stay with them. Also, please double check your hurricane kits once again to make sure you have enough supplies and medicine for you and your family to last at least 7 days. I want you to know that you are not facing this alone. We are in this together. We will get through this together. Please stay safe. Thank you.
Thank you, Bonnie. I want to underscore what she just said. It's vital that you listen. To use us and evacuate. It is for your safety and the safety of your family. Now for some additional updates. We have opened more than 45 emergency evacuation shelters, and so far we have more than 600 people in the shelters and several pets, and we expect a dramatic increase today. As of this morning, before today's operations began, we had distributed more than 64,000 sandbags. We continue to mobilize resources, assets, at the Florida State Fairgrounds. We are getting calls from people who need help the most and get into shelters, and we are actively assisting those folks. Again, an important note about shelters. Yes, we will provide a safe place for you to go and ride out the storm, but it would be better if you sought out family, friends, or even a hotel out of the impact zones to ride out this storm, but we will have a safe place for you to go. These shelters are a last resort. They are for people who truly need to be there and people who have nowhere else to go. And remember, you could be there for several days. Also, I want everybody to know that we are not just focused on the impacts of the approaching storm, we're also looking forward beyond the impacts after the hurricane has passed. We're currently working on the next phase of operations, and they're currently underway. We want to stay ahead of this, and we need to stay ahead of this. We are staying ahead of this. Please stay tuned for updates. Try to do what we can as long as we can, and stay safe. And now I will have comments from Sheriff Cronister.
Thank you, sir. Let me start and begin by thanking our county administrator. Ms. Wise, thank you. Thank you for your diligent efforts and everything that you do with the partnerships that are represented and so many more that are solely focused on keeping our communities safe. I also want to take just a moment to thank the 4,000 employees of the Hillsborough County Sheriff's Office, Chief Dennis Jones, and every employee with Hillsborough County Fire Rescue who kissed their families goodbye this morning, not knowing if they will see their families for the next several days, so they can focus on the community and make sure that this community remains as safe as it can be during such a storm. It's been 101 years since Tampa Bay has experienced a storm of this magnitude. The county administrator does not make these decisions lightly. These decisions are focused on public safety and the preservation of life. I am encouraging everybody who now is in evacuation zone A or zone B to heed the warning. Get your families to safety. There's nothing more important than to protect you and your family's life. I have to tell a quick story here if I can. During the last storm that impacted Tampa not too many years ago, there was an elderly female who called 911. The storm conditions were well into the 60-mile-per-hour range. There was extreme flooding. It was some very poor conditions. The emergency medical services decided that with their high-profile vehicles, it would be too unsafe for their employees to respond. We looked at our deputies. Our deputies were begging, can we please go? Can we please go? I looked at them and I said, I'm not going to stop you from going if you want to respond. Go ahead. 4 of them got the most low-profile vehicle they could get in, and they zipped out as quick as they could to this elderly female's residence. She was oxygen dependent. We had implored, begged the residents, as we're doing now, to go to a safer place. She lost electric. She lost that ability to have that oxygen tank. And even with the quick response of deputy sheriffs rushing her to the hospital, she lost her life. This was a senseless loss of life. I don't want to sit here in front of the microphone 2 days from now talking about senseless loss of life. I don't want any of you to have to go to funerals because you didn't want to feel uncomfortable and have to go stay at a friend's house or go stay at a shelter. The time to act is now. Not a time for panic, but a time to act and get your families to that safe place. Last night, I went to bed a little after midnight, and I was so proud to see Interstate 4, Interstate 75, with the traffic jam as much as it was. It's the only time that traffic will make me so happy. You know, you guys, as our community, we are prepared. Please help us be prepared as well. Don't be that individual who picks up the phone and calls for help. I can assure you there's no greater empty feeling than picking up the phone and saying, okay, I'm ready, I need help, and help will not be on the way. Stay safe, everyone.
Thank you, sir. We'll have comments from Sherry from TICO.
Good morning. Based on the intensity of Hurricane Ian, Tampa Electric would like to prepare our customers to be ready for extended outages. Now, in anticipation of that restoration, Tampa Electric has called in thousands of line workers from other utilities from out of state, from as far away as Texas and Indiana, to help us restore power after the storm has passed and it's safe to work. In addition to that, Tampa Electric is executing a targeted interruption to a small part of downtown. This affects the western edge of downtown Tampa, the area including the Straz Center and surrounding buildings. This area is already evacuated, and this interruption will allow us to shut down that equipment ahead of the storm to help speed restoration after the storm.
Thank you. We'll hear from Adley from Hart.
Good morning, thank you. Again, thank you to Ms. Wise for her leadership and for convening this conversation this morning. I just wanted to quickly specify the routes that will be impacted with the closure of or the termination of our service after 9 p.m. today in both Zones A and Zone B. I'll take my time to read these out, but this information is also on the HART website, which is gohart.org, as well as calling our customer service number at area code 813-254-4278. The routes that are impacted are as follows: Route 7, Route 8, Route 9, Route 10, Route 14, Route 15, Route 16, Route 17, Route 19, Route 24, Route 25, Route 30, Route 31, Route 32, Route 34, Route 39, Route 45, and Route 360. The Tico streetcar is not running today, and it will not be running tomorrow. We'll give you an update as far as when our service comes back online. Just to reiterate, we will stop service on these routes starting at 9 p.m. today. Thank you all and be safe.
Thank you. Now we'll open up for questions for any of the folks standing up here.
Sheriff, in the case of a mandatory evacuations, we ran into some people who said, we're not going. What do you do? What can you do as far as people who decide I'm going to squat and wait it out?
Well, certainly under the letter of the law, we can place them under arrest for ignoring the order. That's not our intention. I think that their punishment may be when this storm surge comes, when the copious amounts of water come and they become flooded and we can't get to them. I think that's going to be punishment of unknown, and the loss of electricity is going to be the least of their worries.
And in a case like this, do you have a thought on percentage of who, obviously you want 100%, but
Yeah.
the compliance of something like this, do you have an idea of what percentage you think will comply?
I don't know exactly what that percentages are. I believe they're extremely high from monitoring the traffic flow that we're seeing, the deputies out at the different various intersections helping with traffic flow, seeing the amount of vehicles coming over from Pinellas County, heeding the warning in that county as well. I think the percentages are high. Everyone I've talked to so far, I haven't spoke to one person that said, listen, I'm staying where I'm at and I'll be here at my own risk. We haven't experienced that. Everyone I've talked to has seen people moving out. And again, I think people sometimes hate the fact that they have to leave the best place where we feel the safest, right, is our home. And I understand that. But I would ask them to look at every employee at Hillsborough County Fire Rescue and every deputy sheriff who's going to be sleeping on the floor of a fire station or a police station. And that's not the most comfortable place they want to be either. But sometimes the most uncomfortable place is the safest place. And we need our public. And again, you bring up a great point. You have to heed the warning. And again, I hate to be that individual who is responsible for a family member who loses their life, or the life that you lose may be your own because you ignored to evacuate. So I'm not worried about going out. We're not going to arrest our way out of some type of evacuation problem. I think they're going to have bigger issues to worry about than any type of legalities.
Do your guys, your women go door to door in a situation like this ahead of time to sort of make sure, hey, are you getting out of here?
Great question. We basically do. They're on their PA systems going through these neighborhoods constantly 24 hours a day, and we'll do it until it's unsafe, announcing that there's an evacuation order in place. Please heed the warning. So we'll do that. But again, understand, we're not throwing anyone out of their homes. If they decide to stay, listen, they're going to do it at their own risk.
Do you have a message for business
I don't know if that's a necessary message. Everyone I've saw is boarded up or already shut down. They too have employees that want to get themselves to safety and get their loved ones to safety. We haven't seen anything. And the businesses that we're hoping stay open, like the Publix that are trying to restock and get us those basic essentials, medications that we need, they're doing a great job. We've been in constant communication with them. They have informed me that when it gets to a point where conditions start to worsen, they're going to have to stop service to their community as well. So again, I don't think these are going to be issues that we're going to have. They want to do everything they can to keep their employees safe, just like we do.
Ma'am, from Tico, can you, a little more detail on the targeted power?
The targeted interruptions?
There you go.
Yes, so there's one for sure. That is the western edge of downtown. It's the area around the Straz Center and the Barrymore Hotel and that section of town. That one is expected to occur later today, and those buildings are already under evacuation. We are also considering a targeted interruption on the southern tip of downtown, and that includes all of Harbor Island, all of Davis Island, excluding TGH, and the 2 hotels there, the Embassy Suites and the Marriott, and the Transportation Center. That is still under consideration, and we'll be making that decision later today.
Can you give us your name and title?
Sure, Sherry Jacobs, Cherie Jacobs, spokesperson for Tampa Electric.
When you say temporary interruption to Harbor Island and all that, what do you mean by that?
It's a targeted interruption. We're pinpointing equipment that might be at risk for storm surge. And it's proactive. The section on the western edge of downtown would occur later today. The southern tip would likely occur tomorrow. And that is in anticipation of storm surge. So by shutting down the equipment ahead of time, it will help speed restoration on the back end. It's sort of like, do I repair my car or do I replace my car? Replacing your car would take longer. So it is in anticipation of speeding restoration to those areas.
If there's no further questions, this concludes this update. Thank you.
Nothing like being sick.
Timing's always good.